Chosen one, there is an entry in heaven's records that has never existed before, not across the stories of the ancients, not in the long testimony of those who waited, suffered, and came through the other side, not in any pattern the archive has ever held. This entry has your name on it, and it does not look like anything that has come before, not because your story is the most dramatic, not because your faith is the strongest, but because the specific combination of what you have carried, what it built inside you, and what is now being arranged for your next season, that combination is without precedent. I want to be precise about that word. Without precedent means there is no earlier version, no template, no soul who walked through exactly what you walked through and came out exactly as you have. God is writing something new, a new form of faithfulness being honored, a new kind of preparation being rewarded, a new mode of favor being released. And he has never done this, not once, in all of the sacred record. You are not going to receive a familiar breakthrough. What is coming for you does not have a name yet in the language of breakthrough. What is coming is something heaven has been holding specifically, deliberately, only for you until this exact season. Let me show you what it is. Everything I am about to share with you is given freely. But if at any point, as you listen, something in you stirs and says there is more, if your spirit tells you it is being drawn towards something specific, everything you need is in the description below and in the pinned comment. Only move there if you feel led. Before we begin, I need to ask something of you. Wherever you are right now, whatever is moving in the background of your life, I want you to let it fall away for a few minutes. This is not background content. These are the words being placed on my heart for you today. And what they carry deserves your full presence. Take one slow breath. Let your body settle into exactly where you are. And understand this. You did not arrive here by accident. I want to tell you something before we go any further. If you stay with this message until the very end, you will walk away with 3 things that cannot be undone. You will know what the signs already present in your life have actually been pointing to. You will understand what heaven has been quietly building in the seasons that felt the most silent. And you will know specifically, not in general, what God has never done for anyone before and why he is doing it for you now. Stay. What is waiting for you at the end of this is worth it. Let me begin with the first layer. I want to locate you, not in a general sense. Precisely. There is a time of day, maybe very late at night, maybe in the early quiet before anyone around you has woken up, when the noise of the world goes still and something inside you gets louder. Not a voice exactly, more like a pressure, a weight that does not come from the outside, a sense that your life is holding something that has not arrived yet, and the waiting has stretched longer than you expected it to. You know that feeling. You have sat inside it more times than you can count. And in those moments, in the ones where the waiting felt the heaviest, you have done what the strongest kind of person does. You kept going, not because you had answers, not because everything was clear, but because something in you was not ready to give up on what you had felt. I want to speak to that today, because what you have been sensing is not wishful thinking. What your life has been building toward is not what it has appeared to be. In all of heaven's records, in the living archive that traces every soul, every act of divine movement across every era of human history, there is not one entry that carries the same fingerprint as yours. But before I can take you to what the record holds, I need to show you something you may have been misreading. The signs. They have been in your life for longer than you realize, and most people look directly at them and call them something else entirely. The first one is this. You have been experiencing waves of emotion that arrive without a clear cause. A peace that settles over you from nowhere, followed by a grief that has no specific source, followed by a hope that returns even after the grief moves through, not because something happened to trigger each one, but because they simply passed through you like weather no one predicted. And I need to say this plainly. This is not instability. This is not anxiety. This is not a sign that something in you has gone wrong. This is your spirit moving through the weight of a transition that is far larger than any single emotion can hold. You are not broken, you are in motion. And motion at this scale produces exactly this kind of internal weather. The second sign is that the environments and conversations that once felt normal, the noise, the surface-level exchanges, the spaces you used to move through without noticing, they now feel draining in a way that is difficult to explain to anyone who has not experienced it. Not because you have become cold, not because you have lost your warmth or your care for people. Something is simply different now. The volume of the old world feels louder, and your capacity to stay inside it has quietly shortened. This is not you becoming difficult. This is not a problem to solve. This is your frequency being adjusted for a place you have not arrived at yet. The old environment feels wrong because it is wrong. Wrong for where you are going, not wrong in itself. Your spirit knows the difference even when your mind is still working to catch up. The third sign is subtler. It is the knowing, the quiet, specific flash of awareness that something is about to happen before it happens. A turn in a conversation, a decision someone else is about to make that will affect you, a shift that no amount of available information could have predicted. And then it arrives exactly as the knowing said it would. Not dramatic, not sudden lightning, just a small, accurate, repeating awareness that lands before the fact and is confirmed quietly after it. This is not your mind manufacturing patterns to feel safe. This is not coincidence on repeat. This is a form of perception that belongs to a very specific kind of person, and the record has a name for that kind of person. We will return to it. And the fourth sign is the timing. The way, the right word, the right connection, the right provision has appeared at precisely the moments where logically there should not have been anything. A message arriving the specific day you needed it. A door opening the week another closed. A provision materializing in a gap that could not have been planned by any human coordination. This is not luck. This is the architecture of something being arranged deliberately, specifically for you alone. Each of these signs is an entry being made in the record, and what the record shows, when you see all four of them together in one life, is that this pattern in this person, in this specific season, has not appeared before. Most people who recognize these signs call it a spiritual season and wait for it to pass. But this is not a season to wait through. This is a threshold. And what I need to show you next will explain what the threshold is leading to. Before I can take you to the center of what God has never done, you need to understand something about the way He sees something that most people have misread their entire lives. Stay with me. This is where everything begins to shift. There is a word in the ancient Hebrew language that appears at some of the most significant moments in the sacred texts. And when you understand what it actually means, you will never read God's attention toward you the same way again. The word is Ra. In its simplest translation, it means to see. Most people, when they picture God watching over them, picture something passive, a distant, observational watching, like someone standing far off and monitoring from the outside. That picture, that passive, detached watching has done more damage to how people understand their own lives than almost anything else I have encountered. Because Ra is not passive. When God truly beholds, something happens to what He is looking at. The seeing is not observation from a distance, it is participation. It is the kind of seeing that activates what is seen. In the very first pages of the sacred text, when God looked at what He had made and declared it good, that declaration was not a rating. That seeing released the goodness into its full expression. The looking itself completed the thing. The beholding was an act of creation. And what this means for your specific entry in the record is this. When God Ra your story, He is not scoring it. He is not measuring the gap between where you are and where you hope to be. He is not cataloging your delays or the places where you fell. What heaven records when God looks at you is what He activates in you through the looking, and what He has seen in the precise combination of your story, in the specific weight of what you have carried, in the particular shape of how you have been formed, has produced an activation that has never been produced before. The archive does not hold what you have assumed about yourself. It holds what God sees when He truly looks, and what He sees in you has no earlier version in the record. Now I need to talk about the seasons you wish you could skip over, because what I have found, without exception, is that the people who carry the most unprecedented entries in the archive are almost always the people who spent the most extended time in what I can only call the wilderness. The long seasons of silence and invisibility, where nothing seemed to be happening from the outside, and the inside felt like it was being hollowed out into something unfamiliar, not as punishment, not as abandonment, as the most specific, purposeful, deliberate preparation that could have been designed. The wilderness does three things that cannot be done anywhere else. The first, it removes the false identity. Away from every structure that confirmed your worth from the outside, the title, the relationship, the role, the version of you that other people reflected back, all of that slowly dissolves. And what remains, when the external confirmation is gone, is the actual thing, not the performed you, not the approved you, the one that was formed before anyone had an opinion about it. The second thing the wilderness does is teach you how to receive what cannot be spoken, the quiet knowing we discussed, the directional awareness that does not arrive through reasoning or information. People who have never sat in an extended silent season tend to fill silence whenever it appears. People who have been through the wilderness have learned something different, how to live inside it without running. And that capacity, that trained stillness, is exactly what the next season requires of you. The third, it builds the only kind of trust that can hold what God is about to place on it. Not the easy faith that arrives when everything is visible and confirming, the kind that holds in the absence of evidence, the kind that does not manufacture its own proof when proof refuses to appear. That kind of trust is rare, and it is rare because the wilderness is the only place it can be genuinely formed. For those of you still inside that season right now, I am not going to give you a timeline, because I cannot, and I would not want to. What I am telling you is that what is happening in the quiet is not nothing. It is everything. There was a woman in the ancient record named Esther. She was placed in a palace, and for a season that, to anyone observing from outside, looked entirely like ordinary faithfulness, ordinary consistency, unremarkable daily presence. She was being prepared. The record was being written, entry by entry, line by line, in a chapter that had no earlier version in the archive. Nothing about her circumstances signaled that something unprecedented was being assembled. And then the moment came. See, the specific, unrepeatable, unprecedented moment that her entire season of hiddenness had been building toward. A moment so precisely calibrated to the exact combination of her position, her formation, her courage, and the specific historical intersection she was living in that it could not have gone to anyone else. It required her, specifically, not someone like her, here, for such a time as this. Not a time like this. This time, this specific, unprecedented alignment of a person and a purpose that had never existed before. Your hidden years, the ones that felt invisible, the ones where the record seemed to hold nothing, were not hidden from heaven. They were being entered, line by line, into a chapter the archive has never held. The record does not mark you where you stumbled. It marks you where you refused to stay on the ground. Now, before I take you into what the record holds at its deepest point, I want to briefly name something. There is a connection between the frequency of what we have been discussing, God encoding something specific into you, a receiving capacity, a form of intelligence that the world has been quietly suppressing, and a practical tool that operates at exactly that level of the brain. I will return to this in much more depth very shortly. And when I do, everything we have covered will lock into place in a new way. But if something in you is already asking whether there is a specific resource for the frequency work we have been describing, the information is in the description and in the pinned comment below. Only move there if you feel drawn. For now, stay, because the next layer is where the record shows you its most important entry. Stay with me. What comes next is the part I have been building toward from the very beginning. Think about a seed, not as a symbol, as a biological fact. A seed placed into the ground looks, from the outside, like nothing is happening. The soil is dark. The surface is undisturbed. There is no visible sign that anything alive is moving down there, preparing for anything, becoming anything. And yet beneath the surface, every cell of that seed is in a state of the most intense preparation it will ever experience. The most radical biological activity of its entire existence is happening in the dark, in the silence, in the place where no observer can reach it. And the tree that eventually rises from that seed, the specific tree, the specific height, the specific shape of what it becomes, cannot be predicted from looking at the seed. You cannot examine a seed and know what the tree will be. The tree reveals itself only when it arrives. The reason what God is doing for you is unprecedented is not because you are a larger seed than anyone else. It is because you are a seed of a type that has never germinated before. The tree does not have a name yet. It cannot be named until it is visible. But the preparation happening now, in the dark, in the silence, in the season that looks like nothing from the outside, that entry in the record, is extraordinary. And now, I need to speak to something that has likely been present since the beginning of this message. A voice, not doubt in the general sense. Something more specific than that. The voice that says, I am not the kind of person God would do something this significant for. There is too much of my history that is visible. I have already made the mistakes that disqualify me. I am too ordinary in too many places that still show. I am too late, too far behind where I should be by now. That voice, I know it, and I want to speak directly to it, not around it. That voice is not weakness. I want you to hear that. It is actually evidence of something unusual in you. It is the voice of someone who has been honest enough, clear-eyed enough, to sit with their own full humanity without flinching away from it. That is not the voice of someone who is undeserving. That is the voice of someone with integrity. Someone who has refused to inflate their own story. Someone who sees themselves with rare, unglamorized clarity. But here is what that voice does not understand. The unprecedented has never gone to the already perfect. Not once in all of the record. Every entry in the archive that carries the weight of the extraordinary begins with someone who looked at themselves and saw exactly what you see. What the voice misses is this: the formation you have been through, the specific breaking, and the rebuilding that came after, did not diminish your qualification for what is coming. It produced the only qualification that matters. You are not less ready because of what you have been through. You are the only one ready because of it. You are allowed to receive what you cannot fully explain. You are allowed to be chosen even when you cannot construct the argument for why. You are allowed to step forward without having first convinced yourself beyond all doubt that you deserve it. You are allowed to stop the audit of your own worthiness and simply open your hands to what is being extended toward you. And you do not owe anyone, not the voice inside, not the voices outside, an apology for becoming who you were always intended to be. Let me tell you about someone. No name, but I want to give you enough that you feel the weight of it. For close to 4 years, this person received nothing visible. No confirmation, no external sign that what they believed about their own life was real. They practiced something I can only describe as strategic silence. They withdrew from the impulse to prove themselves, to explain the formation to people who were not equipped to understand it, to justify the waiting to anyone who questioned it. They simply prepared. They did the interior work with no audience. They protected what was being built in them, rather than spending it on people who could not hold it. In the 5th year, 3 doors opened. Not 1, 3, simultaneously. None of them had appeared on any previous timeline. None of them were things this person could have arranged or anticipated. And every single one of them required the exact preparation that the 4 silent years had been building, not in a general way, specifically, as if the formation had been custom designed for the precise entry point of what arrived. She did not become who she was meant to be in spite of the silence. She became who she was meant to be because of it. Now, before I continue, I want you to notice something with me. You have been inside this message for a while now, and something in you has stayed, did not turn away, did not tell itself this was not for it, and move on. That is not a small thing. The staying itself is one of the signs we talked about at the beginning. Something in you recognized that what is here was meant for it. Take one breath before what comes next. Not because there is nothing left to say, but because what comes next deserves to land in a space that is not crowded. Breathe in slowly. Let the words settle. Let your body be where it is. You do not need to do anything else right now. Good. Now, what I am about to take you to is what this entire message has been building toward. But before I can get there, because I am going to get there is one more layer I need to lay in place first. It is the layer that connects everything we have discussed to the specific, practical dimension of what is available to you right now. And when it clicks, the preceding time we have spent together is going to reorganize in your memory into something that makes complete and clear sense. Stay with me. Let me step out of the imagery for just a moment and speak to you directly, in plain terms, about what we have covered, so that you can carry it forward with clarity. Your life is carrying 4 specific signs of a transition without a prior template: the unexplained emotional movements, the shift in what you can tolerate around you, the knowing that arrives before the fact, and the precision of the timing in your life. Those signs are real. They are not manufactured by wishful thinking. They are fingerprints of a preparation that is unlike any the archive has held. The wilderness seasons you have been through were not discipline for failure or evidence of abandonment. They were the intentional formation of 3 specific things that cannot be built anywhere else: the removal of the false identity, the development of your receiving capacity, and the construction of the only kind of trust that can hold what is coming. And the one doing all of this, the God who is writing this entry, does not see you the way the voice inside tells you he does. He Ra your story, and what he sees when he truly looks is not the version of you that the voice describes. What he sees is the exact combination that makes what he is about to do unprecedented. You are not in a season of waiting to see if something happens. You are in the final stage of preparation for something the archive has never held. Take that in before we move forward. Now, in a research facility outside Cambridge, working in collaboration with teams at MIT and Princeton, scientists spent decades mapping what happens to the human brain during its highest states of function. Not the brain under stress or survival pressure. Not the brain managing daily obligations. The brain in its most open, most receptive, most fully operational state. And what they found, consistently, across decades of neuroimaging data from multiple leading institutions, is that this state is characterized by a specific frequency. A brainwave frequency called gamma. Gamma is not a new or fringe discovery. It has been studied in peer-reviewed contexts across some of the most respected research environments in the world. And what the data shows is this: every child enters the world with access to this frequency at full expression. The speed of learning that children display, the effortless pattern recognition, the depth of creative and intuitive connection that is gamma in its original, uninterrupted state. And then, something happens. Beginning around age 7, across virtually every child in the modern world, the research documents a consistent and measurable decline. Not a sudden collapse, a slow, progressive erosion. The educational structures, the social pressures, the relentless pace that modern life demands, they gradually train the brain out of its highest frequency and into something more manageable, more suited to compliance than to genius, more oriented toward getting through the day than toward what the brain was originally designed to produce. The scientists named this the decline effect. What the ancient world called it was the silencing of what God placed in you. You were not born ordinary. Before the decline effect reached you, before the world began its slow work on the frequency you arrived with, there was a version of you who absorbed information at a speed that surprised the people around you, who made connections others could not follow, who perceived and created in a way that felt effortless and natural. That version of you is not gone. It has not been erased. It has been suppressed. And the thing about suppression, as opposed to destruction, is that suppressed things, when the right frequency is applied to them, can be reactivated. I want to tell you about someone who made one specific change and listened to what I am about to describe for 7 consecutive days. On the first day, nothing dramatic. On the third day, they described a quality of quiet inside their thinking that they had not experienced since early childhood. By day 7, they told me it felt like a radio that had been tuned to static for years, and someone had finally found the station it was always designed to receive. Not a sudden transformation, a quiet, specific returning to something that had always been there, beneath the noise. That returning, that precise process of bringing gamma back to its original expression in you, is what a neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake has spent 34 years working toward. 34 years, multiple research partnerships with leading institutions, and a question that would not leave him alone. If the decline effect is measurable and consistent across virtually every human being in the modern world, is there a way to reverse it that does not require years of disciplined meditative practice or access to expensive clinical technology? The answer is the Genius Song. It is a 7-minute audio track. You listen with headphones. You do not need meditation experience. You do not need a specific time of day or a specific posture. You need 7 minutes and a willingness to receive. The track uses a clinically mapped approach called brain entrainment, a method of applying specific frequency resonance to guide your brain back into the gamma state that was original to you, not a manufactured state, not something introduced from the outside. The frequency that God encoded into you before the world began its suppression. Over 18,000 people have used the Genius Song, and fewer than 4 in every 100 have asked for a refund. That second number is the one that matters. In an industry where products that do not deliver commonly see refund rates of 15 to 25%, a figure under 4% is not a promotional claim. It is a quality signal. It means that what people experience when they actually use it does what the description says it will do. Let me give you the full picture of what this costs, because I want you to have it completely. If you were pursuing gamma reactivation through the alternatives, most people consider a meditation app subscription runs around $15 a month, though none of the major apps specifically target gamma frequency. An online mindfulness or brain performance course runs between $100 and $200. A weekend retreat, where you might experience some of this benefit, costs between $400 and $800. And a professional biofeedback clinic, which is the clinical grade intervention, charges approximately $300 per session, with multiple visits typically recommended before significant results appear. Dr. Lake took the research produced across 34 years of study and compressed it into a 7-minute track. The original price for access is $49, already dramatically below any alternative. But for those of you receiving this specific message today, the price is $39, not on Amazon, not through any general search, only through the link in the description below and in the pinned comment. With that, you receive 4 additional resources at no added cost. The first is a second audio track called Genius Child, calibrated specifically for the brain of a child before the decline effect has taken full hold, valued at $19 on its own. The second is the foundational text that preceded and inspired the film The Secret, a practical, non-vague exploration of the principles of financial and mental alignment, available on Amazon for $20. The third is a 22-minute guided visualization that walks through 4 specific domains of life: finances, relationships, health, and purpose, valued at $29 separately. The fourth is a visual reference guide of the 5 daily habits that the research shows help keep gamma activation stable and sustained long after the initial reactivation, valued at $12. That is $80 in additional resources, included at no cost, with a $39 investment. And the entire thing is protected by a complete money-back guarantee. No questions, no usage limits before you can request it. No risk. One thing I need to tell you before I continue. There are unauthorized copies of something carrying the name of this product in places where they should not be. If you search for the Genius song outside of the specific link placed in the description and pinned comment, you may find something that carries the name, but not the technology behind it. Protect what you choose to receive. The only verified source is the link I have placed below. Go there, and only there, if you feel led. For those who feel drawn, the Genius song is waiting for you. The link is in the description and the pinned comment below. This message is complete without it. But if your frequency is being called toward it, trust that. Now, we have arrived. This is what the record holds. What God has never done, in all of the archive, in all of the sacred account of every moment where heaven moved in a human life, is this. He has never prepared someone through the specific combination of your silence, your formation, your faithfulness in the invisible years, and then brought them forward quietly, without spectacle, without a dramatic, world-visible sign. Every other unprecedented act in the record involved a visible crisis followed by a visible miracle. The kind that could not be explained away, the kind the surrounding world could see and had to reckon with. That is the template the archive has held for every act of divine intervention that has come before. What God is doing for you is unprecedented in an entirely different way. It is unprecedented in its gentleness, in the way it arrives not as an announcement, but as a recognition. The world will not applaud the moment when it comes. There will be no fanfare, no dramatic signal that other people can point to and confirm. What will happen is that you will know, quietly, deeply, specifically, beyond the reach of the voice that used to question it, you will know. And that knowing will carry a certainty unlike anything you have received from the outside, because it will not come from outside. It will come from the place where the formation has been happening all along. This is what has never been done before. Not for anyone who came before you. God prepared someone in the specific shape of your story, through the specific weight of your carrying, to receive the unprecedented thing in silence. And in that silence, to walk forward with a certainty that does not require witness. And I hear the Father saying this: I did not bring you through what you carried to make a display of your faithfulness. I brought you through it to give you something that required exactly the shape of your story. Something I could not have placed in anyone else's hands. Not because they are less. Because they are not you. What felt like being overlooked was actually being held apart for something that could not be given to someone already visible. What felt like delay was actually the precision of preparation for what has no template and could not be rushed. What felt like ordinariness was actually the incubation of a form of expression the world has not yet seen. What felt like being behind everyone else was actually being positioned at the exact starting point of something that begins with you and no one before you. What felt like your greatest area of lack was actually the specific shaping that made you the only vessel that could hold what is coming. You are a pioneer. You go first into territory that has no map, so that others who follow behind you can find the path. You carry the weight of going first, so that no one after you has to go blind into the same place. That weight is not a burden. It is the evidence of what you were built to carry. You are a seer. You perceive what others around you cannot, and the formation you have been through, the training in the silence, the sharpening of the knowing has developed That perception, to a degree you have not yet fully used. You are not imagining what you sense. You are receiving what you were designed to receive. You are a voice. You will speak things that have not yet been said in the way you will say them. And the people who have been waiting to hear those specific things, people who needed the particular frequency of your expression, have been waiting for you. Specifically, you are a cycle breaker. What ends with you could not have ended with anyone who came before you, because it required the exact breaking and rebuilding that you experienced. What you carry forward from here changes what the next generation inherits from where you have been. You are commissioned. You are sent. You are already in the record. Before the final words of this message, I want to give you a moment to receive what has been shared. Without needing to close your eyes, without needing to move from wherever you are right now, I want you to imagine a vast, quiet room, the kind of space where the light is clear but not harsh. And in this space, there is the archive, the record, the living account of every soul who has ever walked the earth. You are brought to your own entry. And when you look at it, when you really see it, you do not find the list of delays and stumbles you expected. You find the preparation. You see the entries made in the silent years, recorded with extraordinary care, in a language that is specific to who you are. And at the bottom of your entry, at the very end of what has been written, there is a line still being composed. A new line, one that has never appeared in the archive before. And standing there, you understand that you are not reading your history. You are standing at the beginning of the new entry. Let that settle into your body now. Not as pressure, as belonging. You belong in this record, and what is being written for you has never been written before. Chosen one, you stayed, and that itself is part of the record. I want you to lay something down before you carry this message forward. The story that said you were ordinary. The story that said the waiting meant you were forgotten. The story that said too much of your past was visible for something this significant to be true of you. That story was never yours. It belonged to a version of you that did not yet know what the archive held. You do not need to carry it from here. And I hear the Spirit saying, you are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not late to anything that was truly meant for you. You are in the exact moment of the exact preparation for the exact thing that was designed only for you. Say this now, wherever you are, in whatever position you are in. You do not need to move to say it. Say it in your mind, if you cannot say it aloud. I am a pioneer. I am a seer. I am a voice. I am a cycle breaker. I am in the record. And what God has written for me has never been written before. If this message reached what it was meant to reach in you today, type 777 inches, the comments below. Let that be your declaration. Let it be your mark on this message that says, I received it. I know what I carry. If something in this message confirmed what your spirit already knew, honor that knowing by pressing the like. It takes 1 second and it means something. If you want to remain in the space where messages like this find you, stay connected. There is more, being prepared, and you know someone. Someone who has been inside the silence too long and has started to believe the silence means no. Someone who needs to hear that the preparation is not the end of their story. You do not need to explain why you are sending this. Simply send it. Let the pull do the work. Chosen one, go forward. The new entry is being written, and it begins now.